at the pictures we're showing on TV, right? I mean, the number of people who are coming and headed our way. We're told it's 3 additional caravans. Do you have any idea in terms of where that stands? Are they waiting until after the election?
That's exactly what they're doing. There's hundreds of thousands right now, Maria, in southern Mexico, just waiting for the election. They want to see what's going to happen, obviously, before they actually make their way to the border. And it all goes back to leadership and having strong leadership in the United States that's going to put pressure on Mexico to keep these caravans or keep any potential illegal immigrants from making this journey. But yet we're not seeing that. We haven't seen that in the last 2.5 years.
Hello, everyone. Well, what do you know? We now have migrant caravans on standby, waiting for the election results because they know that Trump will get them out and Kamala will let them in. What a time to be alive. And then we have this freeloader over here who, in my opinion, is one of the best examples of this migrant crisis. I recently came across one of his videos where he gave his migrant followers a shoplifting tutorial inside of a shoe store. But before we discuss that, we have a lot of updates to get to, including how a migrant recently applied for asylum and then the next day tried to essay a woman in Florida. So I'll be providing you with all of those tragic details. Oh yeah, and then there's this.
You know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there. It's absolutely wild to see, and in Texas, stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Look, I know this guy is known for his controversial jokes, but that was not the time nor the place. And in my opinion, this has got to be one of the best comments in reaction to the joke. And I quote, "I'm Puerto Rican, and what offended me the most was how whack the joke was. If you're going to be offensive, at least be funny." And that is the truth. It wasn't even funny. And I know that President Trump said he didn't even know the guy or that he was going to be part of the event.
Trump this morning telling ABC News he has not watched the comedian's comments, insisting, quote, "I don't know him. Someone put him up there. I don't know who he is."
And his team said that those views did not reflect what the Trump campaign is all about. And I'm glad, but still, he should have never been up there. Guys, we are so close to one of the most important elections in American history. We have to focus on Kamala Harris and how the Democrats have destroyed this country. We know that they are all about anti-American policies. Other than that, there's nothing there except for identity politics. So if we all know how the Dems continue to call President Trump a racist, then why are we giving them that type of content? That's what they love. That's what they want, to feed on identity politics, because they have no other policies that will actually help Americans. And so in my opinion, whoever the hell put a Tony Hinchcliffe up there should be fired. This is when we come together, guys, and try to save America. We don't have time to waste, and that was a waste of time. And again, it wasn't even funny. But let's be fair, the Democrats also put up a comedian that pretty much called all Mexicans thieves.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight.
Really, George Lopez? So what was that all about? Are you trying to say that all Mexicans are thieves? And obviously the mainstream media did not talk about this, and that's why I'm highlighting it right here. Because I told you I will call out both sides regardless. If they mess it up, I will tell you they messed it up. And this was another example of an unfunny joke. And, well, because it wasn't at a Trump rally, nobody in the media cared. But then, guys, this happened.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
And I quote again, the only garbage I see out there are his supporters. Wow. Unbelievable. And the memes, of course, have taken over. Like this one, that's one of my favorites. The caption read something like, "This is me waking up in the morning after Biden called us garbage." And then there is this one. I mean, as I previously stated, that Tony Hinchcliffe joke was terrible and not even funny. But Biden wasn't even joking around. That's how they really feel about half the country, or maybe even over 50% of the country. That includes everyone, guys. Pretty much every race in the nation. And he called us garbage. So this is President Trump reacting in real time to those comments.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
But of course, President Trump is a genius. And so he went ahead and got dressed as a garbage man worker, and he even rode inside a garbage truck.
So this outfit, you know, is when he called us all garbage. How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think? So I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself. I have a wonderful suit on. And one of my people came in and said, "Sir, you know, the word garbage is the hottest thing right now out there. The hottest thing out there, sir. Would you like to drive a garbage truck?" Now, we're about, 30 minutes from landing. We had to do this pretty quick. I said, "It's sort of cool, though, isn't it? Because, And I said, I think that's okay. But, I don't feel comfortable wearing a suit." And they pulled up this garbage truck. I don't know how the hell they did it so fast. I have very capable people. They put a big sign on the truck. Did you see it? I think they showed it. They brought this brand new, gorgeous truck, wonderful driver. He looked like Cary Grant in his prime. You know who that is? How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
So epic. And even Vivek joined the movement.
Let's do it, man. I got it. You got it? Yeah. Tell me, what are we doing here?
Right up to the lift.
Okay. Right up to here.
Yep. Come up. Turn around.
Doing it right? Pull this one back too, or you good?
Yeah, you're good right now.
Sweet.
Wait for it to go all the way up.
Pretty good machinery, actually.
Push it in and it'll come back out.
I love it. I love it, guys. We are all garbage. But if that's what it takes to save this country, then I'm all in. Indeed, we have a migrant that posted a shoplifting tutorial on social media, and nothing happens, of course. In addition to that, I will touch base on various suspicious election occurrences in different parts of the country that even Democrats have admitted. And I will show you the sources so that nobody can label my video as misinformation. These are facts. And as all of this nonsense is happening, Kamala continues.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us.
Oh, I can't. It doesn't even make sense. Let's get started. Okay, so check this out. A Florida woman calls 911 for pizza. And then the officers ask her, "Are you sure you're calling the right number?" And she says, "Yes, I know I'm calling the right number." And so luckily, they were able to locate the phone call and this happened.
Hey,
He's trying to rape me. Can you help
get off her now.
Help me?
Get off her now.
Give us a channel.
Thank God. Thank you.
Don't you f***ing move. Don't you f***ing move.
Come here, you. Come here. You good? 21 says to clear the channel. Come here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
We got a male secure.
He's trying to rape me.
Copy a Florida tag, please.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
And when you watch the video, if you're a father, if you're a grandfather, if you're a brother, and you hear those screams coming from our victim, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Okay, we're here now, okay? Hey, we're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. Just catch your breath. He's got him. He's got him. He's got him.
The victim in this case said she had known her assailant, that they had gone into the fernery to drink a couple drinks, alcoholic beverages, and that's all it was supposed to be. However, during this outing, he did a line of cocaine, and she said he did a 180, and he became extremely violent and wouldn't let her go and tried to rape her. The video, again, speaks for itself. The suspect in this case is Luis Hernandez Mañeo, 27-year-old male who's in this country illegally, who the day before the incident applied for asylum. He's now sitting in our jail with 3 felony counts against him, and the Border Patrol has lodged a detainer against him. I am so proud, number one, of our victim for having the wherewithal and keep her wits as they're able to get that information to our communications folks for being able to decipher what was going on and use technology to put us, the deputies, in the general area of where she was. And then obviously you can see the deputy's response in taking this scumbag into custody.
Scumbag is right. But wasn't it AOC the one that said, oh, these asylum seekers are only escaping oppression and they're protected under the law? And now look, escaping oppression to do something like that. Isn't it outrageous how far gone the Democrats are? But even New York, their leaders are now hinting at not wanting to be a sanctuary city anymore because of the disaster they have allowed in that city. But what do? They don't call ICE to get them out of the country. Instead, they want to send them to the state of Texas.
What's happening now with New York City sending 4,500 migrants back to Texas, offering free one-way plane and bus tickets to other states like Illinois, Florida, or Colorado. New York spent nearly $14 million on the reticketing program as of July. So Abbott sends migrants to New York, then New York spends all this money, millions, to send them back to Texas. The Big Apple has spent more than $6 billion total on this migrant crisis.
And that's what you call a competent Democratic leadership. Billions of dollars in the trash. And they know that we know what they're up to. Additionally, they understand how badly most Americans want them out of office. But they don't care. Check Elon's tweet, and I quote, "If there is a Democratic Party victory this election, they will ban voter ID requirements nationwide, enabling massive voter fraud. Banning voter ID is their stated goal. They are not hiding it. After that, your vote won't matter. So this is therefore the last real election. Vote for Donald Trump to save democracy." All of this comes as Gavin Newsom bans California from requiring ID to vote. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed legislation that prevents local governments from requiring voters to present identification at the polls, a law aimed at curbing conservative efforts in cities like Huntington Beach. This is the exact same thing the Communist Party did in Venezuela, and that is why no matter how many people vote against them, they will always win and remain in power. We need ID for mostly everything in this country except when selecting the most important position in the country. And here is Kamala's response.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support? I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't. There's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them. People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
What the hell is going on, guys? This is pure insanity. We need voter ID laws at a federal level yesterday. What better way to prevent voter fraud?
Do any Democrats want to explain how this isn't election fraud? These are the official voting instructions sent to New York voters, and look what it says inside. You do not need to show an ID to vote unless you're a first-time voter. What? So any random person can just go to the polls, say my name, and then vote on my behalf, all because I showed an ID to vote when I registered at 18 years old? How How is that secure? People don't need to show any form of identification to vote in the presidential election. I need to show an ID every single time I go to buy a tequila. They don't just give it to me because I once showed an ID. And this is the presidential election, not a fun Saturday night out. It gets worse. Ballots must be received by November 12th. That is a full week after the election. So are we just going to wait a week to certify the election because mail-in ballots are still being received? Every single vote and ballot should be cast and counted by the end of election day. Part of a secure election is having a quick election. And this opens up the room for people to send their ballots in after the election results already start coming in to have a greater effect on the outcome. It is not election integrity. And lastly, it says that you can drop your mail-in ballot off on election day. Why are you requesting a mail-in ballot if you're just going to drop it off on election day? Just vote normally in person. And people call me crazy for saying that we don't have safe and secure elections, so then explain this. How will the poll workers ever know if I showed an ID originally if they don't ask me for an ID in the first place and they have no idea who I am? How are we supposed to certify an election on election day when results are still coming in up till a week after? Why can any person request a mail-in ballot? This is all nuts, so just remember to vote early and vote in person. And don't let anybody touch your ballot.
Wow, just make sure to vote in person. But the media is already telling us not to expect the results on election day, but it could take days, weeks, maybe months. So I'm not sure why we call it election day anymore. And they're also saying that it is perfectly normal for a huge batch of votes to come in for just one candidate.
We might think we knew the results of elections a lot sooner in previous elections. We really didn't. It was just the margins were so large that we were able to call the elections earlier. It always takes a long time to count ballots. We're going to see that again, and margins are likely to be tight. So we might need to wait a few days in states like Georgia and elsewhere.
And David, I really don't think we can emphasize enough the way in which each state has different rules for counting, and the result can be somewhat suspicious looking on the surface processes with the count, right? It's not just one, if you got a jar of jelly beans, it's not like one red, one blue, one red, one blue. Sometimes handfuls of results come in at one time, a handful of other results at another time. Could you just talk generally about how we should see the count unfold at that state level?
Right. So we have to remember, and you mentioned this earlier, we run the most complicated elections in the world.
You heard that right. It's all perfectly normal. And do you know what else is normal? What's been happening in Shelby County, Tennessee, where voters are claiming that the voting machines are flipping their selections.
Shelby County Election Commission member Venetia Kimbrough says several voters reported at least one incident at 10 to 12 precincts across the county. Representatives G.A. Hardaway and Antonio Parkinson, state lawmakers, both on the ballot and part of the Shelby County Democratic Caucus, say they received several calls from voters today. Here's a list of some of the voting sites provided to Action News 5 where voters said they had difficulty pressing one candidate. They said that their vote would change from the Democratic candidate to the Republican candidate. Now, Kimbrough says voters must press the name of the candidate and not the box next to the candidate's name. Remember, we're using these new touchscreens for the second time, but this is the largest election we're using them in, this new equipment. Now, Valencia also stressed voters should use a stylus when voting and ask for one if not given one at the polls.
I do not believe that it is anything that is nefarious in any way, shape, or form. I know that our employees and our staff have done a yeoman's job of preparing for this nationwide historic election where we expect to have higher voter turnout than in any other election known to Shelby County in any recent history at all.
Venetia Kimbrough is one of two Democrats on the 5-member Election Commission board. Now, she, along with Representatives Hardaway and Parkinson, were not aware of whether or not this same issue occurred with Republican candidate selections switching to Democratic selections. But Kimbrough urges anyone that comes across any problems at the polls to tell a poll worker and a supervisor and report it to the Election Commission. We did reach out to Shelby County Election Administrator Linda Phillips about these reports. She told us in a statement, quote, "We are committed to a smooth and transparent voting process. To date, no voting irregularities have been identified. We encourage all voters to carefully review their ballot before casting it. Poll workers are on site at all precincts to assist as needed." She goes on to say video tutorials are available on the Election Commission's social media channels for guidance about how to use these new voting machines.
Isn't that something? So they don't know if there's any Republican votes flipping Democrats. Of course not. And then there's California.
Alarming find in Sierra Madre just weeks before the November 5th election, a stack of ballots in a storm drain.
As Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia tells us, it's a reminder to contact your registrar of voters if your ballot doesn't show up in the mail.
Jason Ace was doing some landscape work at his Sierra Madre home Saturday when he saw something strange in the storm drain next to his house. Nearly a dozen mail-in ballots. He says he got on his hands and knees and started scooping them out and noticed the addresses were from his Arcadian neighbors a block away.
And of course, we're trained here to keep stuff out of the storm drain. So I got down on my hands and knees and dug around a little bit and started pulling it out. And I pulled out a bunch of junk mail and Ralph's ads and Aldi, and these ballots were mixed in with the junk mail. And of course, they catch my attention because we're seeing on TV about all of the care being taken to prevent fraud and misuse of ballots. It seemed a strange place for ballots to be.
He says he tried to return them to the nearby post office, but they were already closed. Yesterday being a holiday, he wasn't able to return them either. His guess is someone went around the neighborhood opening up the mail.
Furthermore, there is this other video from an early voter line in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, where an officer is seen telling one of the voters that they are cutting the line at around 1:45 p.m. instead of the 4:30 p.m. close time.
I have a question. I have to bring someone here about 4 o'clock to vote. Are they going
to ask you to talk to this?
Are they going to turn everyone down?
I'm going to ask you to talk to this gentleman because the voting is closed right now.
It's closed.
I just want you to talk to this gentleman.
We have the right to vote until 4:30.
I got you.
Why is it closed?
Let me explain it to you.
Please.
Okay. This process is very slow and grueling.
That doesn't matter if we're online.
Very slow and grueling.
Doesn't matter if we're online by 4:30. We have the right to
The reason why
vote.
it had to close was because a high volume of people wanted to do this. Slow and grueling.
Well, then they
So
have to wait till everyone's.
They had to cut the line at 1:45.
They cut the line at 1:45.
1:45.
You hear that, everyone? They cut the line at 1:45.
Here's your.
This is voter fraud, by the way. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh, voter protection. I heard about that on X. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Contact
voter protection. Let's see where that's from.
Contact the county commissioners to complain.
This is, and so you don't think this is voter fraud? This is voter fraud. See that, everyone? They cut the line, even though we have till 4:30. Election fraud here in Bucks County. And you have an oath. I mean, don't you care? I mean, like, really? This is ridiculous. They're not accepting anyone else.
Oh, did they cut off for today?
They cut it off because of election fraud. That's why they cut it off.
That's incorrect. It's actually posted online that they can cut it off.
No, it's election fraud.
It's not.
It's election fraud. What are you voting for the left? It's election fraud. They're open till 4:30. Everyone in the line has the right to vote until 4:30.
On election day.
No, this is election day.
I got it videotaped.
This is ridiculous. I just got a video.
Oh, and it gets better or worse. It's been reported that somebody found a box full of ballots and other documents on exit 11 at the intersection of 211th Street in Cutler Bay, Florida. Now, this person is speaking in both Spanish and English, so you'll be able to understand what he's saying. But pretty much, he found them in the middle of the street, and he's asking why.
So, así es como nosotros vamos a pasar las elecciones. This is 2024 election. Look at that. Y eso está sellado. That's sealed. Look at that. Official materials. ¿Cómo eso estaba en el medio de la calle botado? Yo quiero que tú me expliques eso. That's crazy. No, se le cayó aquí. No quiero oír nada. No sé nada.
Elecciones y quería darle las gracias por ser tan honesto y doing a good community service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
I'm not trying to get nobody in trouble. I just did what I,
No, and I appreciate you because there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't do what you did tonight. So I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to take the time to thank you on behalf of the department. Thank you.
As of this recording, there is no information yet on who's responsible or how those ballots ended up there. Moreover, in Colorado, the Secretary of State's office posted a spreadsheet to its website that included the voting system passwords. And no, I am not kidding.
Passwords to Colorado's voting machines were posted online by the Secretary of State's office and left there for anyone to see for months. Democratic Secretary of State Jena Griswold had known about that error since last week, but didn't tell the county clerks who run elections.
Those passwords alone are not enough to get access to the voting machines, but it's the latest in a string of errors by Griswold's office that have undermined voter confidence in elections. Yet Griswold told me today she will not resign.
To be very clear, we do not see this as a full security threat.
Democratic Secretary of State Jena Griswold acknowledged after being called out by Colorado Republicans that her office leaked voting system passwords and is now in a scramble across the state to change the passwords and determine if anyone inside clerks' offices combined that password with the internal access they would have needed to actually get inside the machines.
The fact that the BIOS passwords were online is concerning, but we are satisfied with the mitigation steps that the state is taking.
Matt Crane, head of the County Clerks Association, a former Republican clerk, says layers of security provide protection.
Every Coloradan votes on a paper ballot, and the paper ballots are audited.
Secretary Griswold deflected responsibility for the leaked passwords and said she might not have told the public if word didn't get out.
In 2021, when Mesa County's voting system passwords leaked, your office said, quote, the public disclosure of the BIOS passwords for one or more components of Mesa County's voting system alone constitutes a serious breach of voting system security protocols. By that standard, did your office commit a serious breach of voting system security protocols?
Well, to push back on you, Kyle, that sentence is in the press release, but there is a much bigger press release.
The leaked passwords are the latest error by Griswold's office undermining public trust in elections. In 2022, her office sent 30,000 non-citizens an invitation to register to vote. That same year, her office mistakenly notified Coloradans who had voted that they still needed to vote, caused confusion for the county clerks, who were not notified by Griswold's office that they had leaked the voting system passwords.
Given your office's repeated errors that have damaged confidence in our elections, which you say is paramount, will you resign?
Absolutely not, Kyle. Colorado is tied for #1 in confidence in the country in our elections. We have stood up to situations time and time again to protect the right of Coloradans, going over and beyond what anybody would ask of civil servants in this office.
Secretary of State's office says that they will be in charge of investigating their own actions.
And then, to add insult to injury, ABC television just aired the 2024 election results on ESPN Live during a Formula One broadcast.
Mercedes having a great old scrap here, but frustrating for Hamilton. Short for George Russell, though. A very satisfying afternoon.
And there it is. ABC and affiliates seem to show the swing state of Pennsylvania going for Kamala Harris with very specific numbers at 52%, with over 3.2 million votes. And then Trump losing with 47% and over 2.9 million votes. Incredibly specific. But again, there's nothing to see here, guys. All right, now that we are all caught up, let's discuss Venezuelan migrant Yimdre. And if you don't know him or don't recall who he is, let me remind you what he is all about. Or now we have another clown that recently popped up on TikTok to spread the same message of telling other migrants to come to America to take advantage of the system. But not only that, he doubled down and he said that they deserve the assistance they are getting. Why would I want to leave the shelter? Why would we want to do that? To go work? To rent a room? Or rent an apartment or a house, whatever? So we can sleep 4 to 5 hours? And then give all that money to the landlord? So what? Work to pay rent? No. We are smart. We're not going to leave the shelter because we are living peacefully. We can sleep anywhere in the shelter. It's just that you guys are a bunch of frustrated people who have 30, 40 years working here, and you've achieved nothing, he says. You guys didn't get the benefits that we got, he says. You get me? We have that benefit. We're not going to leave the shelter because we are at peace. We have our bed, we have the food, which is something that you guys have killed yourself for the entire life, your entire lives. Incredibly inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, I am confident this is where he got the shoplifting idea from. This video is a tutorial on how to proceed to look at the prices of the items. And I will show you how to take things from the store, regardless of its price, and you can take it home for free. And that's why I called Yimdre YimTrash. But let's watch the video and I'll translate for you. So here he says, I am here at the shoe store and there's a lot, okay, of shoes here for women, for men. You have a lot of different styles and colors. Okay, I think these are king. Like these are good. Okay, this costs $80, $150, $80. It's a lot of shoes. The best part, you come in here and you notice that it is very easy to get dressed. The only thing that's difficult is that sometimes you don't find what you like. But it is easy. And that's why there's a lot of problems. So he's telling us that it's easy to do you know what, right? So check this out. Look what I have here. Okay, mine are tired, but look at these shoes. $80. The best part of this, they have no security features at all. Technically, you can switch your old shoes, put the new ones on, like I'm going to do right now. And there he goes. Check it out. No security features, he's saying. There's nothing, no security items, nothing. So basically you do this, and then you take it. And that's it. That's how you get your brand new pair of shoes. They are expensive too, and brand new. Yep, the asylum-seeking fraud continues. And like always, he can post content like this while looking to stay in the country after coming via the border, and nothing happens. He can post whatever the hell he wants and still have his potential immigration interview. It's all good, guys. Thank you for watching. The shoutouts for my amazing supporters are down below. Smash the like button, subscribe, share, 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 share. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. I will see you guys next time.